Hello and welcome once again to episode 100 of Code Completion. We're a group of iOS developers and educators hoping to share what we love most about development, Apple technology, and completing your code. My name is Dimitri and I'll be your host once again for this episode, and I'm joined today by my fellow completionists, Spencer.
Hey there.
Fernando.
Hello, hello.
And welcome back, Ben.
Thank you. Welcome. Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Glad to have you as always.
The auspicious 100th episode. Pretty exciting.
Yes.
Can you guys believe it? 100 years.
100 years of recording Code Completion.
Yeah.
It feels like
impressive.
in podcast years.
Yeah.
So just yesterday, as we are recording, moving on from that, was Apple Event Day. And Apple Event Day is conveniently falling right before we record our 100th episode, so it makes it for an excellent topic. Otherwise, we'd have no idea what to talk about.
They really helped us out.
They did indeed. So we have our Far Out event that Apple had, and this is an opportunity for us to kind of talk about our reactions and what we think about it. We were really not too excited when we recorded the last episode, I would say. I was mostly not excited because I had no idea what was going to be announced. So I was not keeping up with any of the rumors or anything like that. So now that we did actually have an event, there's quite a lot that is new, and there's quite a lot to think about. The first of which is the Apple Watch Series 8. Yay! Who's excited for the Series 8?
Is it the case that the Series 8 is just a sort of a minor spec bump on the previous gen, or is it something more? I've kind of heard different opinions already about it, and I'm not sure. I mean, to be fair, I have a Series 5, so for me it would be a big upgrade. But if you're getting them every year, does anybody here have a Series 7? And if so, are you maybe interested in getting a new one, or?
I think they said it's 20% faster than the previous gen, if I remember right. But I think the big thing with this one is
that was 20% faster.
Oh, maybe it was.
Yeah, it is. I have it open here, right here. It's the first bullet point.
Okay.
So because the new one has the S8 chip in it, right? It's a new SoC compared to the Series 7, but they didn't even apparently mention it on stage. They at least not with the Series 8 in the Series 8 section, right? They
right.
And presumably if it had significant improvements, they probably would have bragged about it because that's their thing, right?
I think the biggest thing is that they added the new sensors, so that new gyroscope and accelerometer, and I think also a temperature sensor as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Are probably the main kind of selling points from what I can kind of glean.
Is the barometer
the temperature sensor is?
Go ahead, Dimitri.
Does that have a barometer? This one? I know the Ultra does.
Yeah, this one does have a barometer as well, and they use that to detect an airbag going off during a car accident. That's just
is that new, or is that just what they're using it for now?
That is new.
Do we know? It is? Okay.
Yeah, I know phones had barometers, but I don't think the watches did. Okay. Yeah, and I was gonna say the temperature sensor seems to be the new health sensor, but it doesn't seem like it gives you temperature readings as you would be used to from either a temperature gun or a thing you put in your armpit or whatnot. This seems to just calculate relative temperature over time, and the main focus on this is for ovulation tracking, if that's something that you want to be doing. If that's not something you want to be doing, don't expect this sensor to be something that's going to blow your mind or even do much, I would say. You'll be able to see your temperature going up and down. You'll probably be oh yes, this was the time that I was sick in 2022. Right. But other than that, I don't think it's going to tell you, oh, you were at 102 degrees Fahrenheit, because back of the wrist is probably not the optimal place to collect temperature readings.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And I believe that it mostly does this sort of, it collects these data points, I think, when you're sleeping. So I don't know if it's exclusively when you're sleeping, but what that implies is that basically in order to use this function, you probably need to wear your watch to bed, which if you don't already do that, that would be a habit you'd have to form in order to gain this insight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then that's it for the health stuff. And unless you've been, I guess it's a big upgrade for you and I, Ben, who are on Series 5s. Spencer, what series are you on?
Series 4, my friend.
Oh, wow.
4, and then Fernando?
I think I'm on Series... Does Series 5 have the always on?
Yes.
Then yes, I'm on 4.
I think 5 was the first always on, if I'm
correct. Yeah, and then 6 was a better always on, and then 7 was a bigger screen, but basically the same as the 6. And I think the Series 8 might have better battery life. Like, that's what the S8 is maybe getting us here. It's not making anything faster, because, like, the Series 5 feels fast enough for, like, major uses, and it's certainly faster than the Series 3, which I swap out with daily. And I noticed like the speed differences there, but I don't think I'm going to notice any speed difference going from this watch to a Series 8 necessarily. But I might notice other improvements, like a brighter always on display and just like battery lasting longer in general, which mine does not last very long anymore.
Right. Yeah, it's saying 18 hours under normal usage, and then if you put it in low power mode, you can get up to 36 hours.
36, yep.
That's pretty and that low power mode is universal to all watches, so you don't have to get like a new watch for it. But I think that's very welcome, because I think
that's starting on Series 5.
4.
Yeah, anything that can run. Yeah, Series 4. Anything that can run WatchOS 9.
Oh, wow. Oh, cool. That's pretty cool.
Which is cool. Like, a couple of the things that they mentioned were like, it doesn't do automatic workout detection, which is like, that's fine with me. If I'm ever going to start a workout, I'll just, think about it and start it. So a lot of, I'm sure, like, if it gives me notifications still, that's really all I use my watch for. So if I can leave it in low power all the time and get a full day battery with my Series 4, that would be very welcome.
Yeah. Agreed. It's a big upgrade for us, Spencer. I don't know if you're considering it. I don't think I use the watch that much anymore. So I may wait until like mine dies completely, but it's a pretty good upgrade coming from 4.
Yeah, I only use mine when I like go out, like I go to work in our office or something. So if I'm at home, I don't wear it. So for me, not worth it.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. Like the temperature sensor was a really, like I've started sleeping with my watch to track my sleeping hours and my heart rate. Like if the temperature sensor is available for like just to measure, not like Dimitri said, I don't need it to be like perfect. I just need to measure like the relativity of it. I will definitely get it for like Christmas. But if not, if it's only for the ovulation, then I'm probably just gonna wait it out.
So it seems like it will record and just like be generally available in the health app. It's just not going to be like very actionable, if that makes sense. Like you'll see your temperature fluctuations, but you won't like see, I was 96 degrees at 10 p.m. So that's not what it's doing, and that's probably why they did market it in such a way where it's like, hey, this is just for this like very specific use case where we can do something with it, rather than just having yet another sensor. Like I know there's rumors that we're eventually going to get like a blood oxygen or a blood glucose sensor and stuff like that, and that's going to be very interesting as well, because how accurate is it going to be compared to getting a more direct way of tracking that via blood samples. So unless it can really replace that well, then it doesn't really have too much use other than people being mindful, and that certainly has its use, right? It's not.
I think that's better than nothing. It's like the ECG. Like it's probably not gonna save your life. It's probably not gonna be super useful, but it's one more data point. And when it does show like something wrong, like all the stories that we saw during the keynote, like I believe them. They may be a very low percentage of like people that are actually saved by their devices, but they're real. So
I mean, Fernando, you might die if you don't have an Apple Watch on. The Apple Watch is what is going to save you.
Well, that's why I'm sleeping with it at night. Like at least they can get some data. Well,
you'll know if you die in your sleep.
Perfect.
As a small tangent, the watch has alerted me that my heart rate gets, I don't know, well, unusually low during sleeping. So that's an interesting data point. If it ever happens that I need to tell my doctor, I can go and say, hey, you know what, this weird thing happens thanks to my watch. So yeah.
It's always a good data point. And then as you brought up earlier, Ben, there's the whole crash detection, which kind of revamps probably the gyroscope and like other accelerometer sensors that have probably not changed all that much in the many years since the iPhone introduced them. So this is probably, hey, new, better sensors are available and they cost about as much as the old ones, or maybe the old ones are just not being made anymore. So we can do something interesting with them, or there might actually be like looking for ways to add value in not dying by wearing an Apple Watch or having an iPhone on you, because I think this works for both, right?
Yeah, it's in the Apple Watch and it's in the new iPhones. And I think what's happening is that there's the accelerometer and gyroscope that we've had for a long time, and then I believe they've actually added an additional sensor, which is specifically a high G force detection accelerometer that's designed to detect these really, really high G forces. So they're, and then the barometer is also being used for like pressure changes,
shockwaves,
and then and then I think I also heard them say that they're even using the microphones both on the watch and on the phone to listen for sounds that sound like a car crash. So it's not just one of these things that's being used for this. It's actually kind of all of these sensors in tandem, in concert, being used to then feed an algorithm, a machine learning algorithm that kind of crunches all that data and decides, okay, yes, crash, or no, crash. And I think they said that they trained it on like 1 million miles worth of driving.
1 million hours.
Or something like that. It was just an insane amount of data that was being used as the initial training set for the machine learning model. So in theory, it can detect these things and then give you an opportunity to contact emergency services, or if you are unconscious, it'll do it for you, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, and it'll contact emergency services or text like your emergency contacts to let them know.
I think at this point, like the crash thing, and we'll talk more about like the satellite thing and the Ultra. I think a lot of it is it's Apple at its best, and it's why I still admire the company, which is just like pushing the envelope because they can. Like they didn't need to include like car crash detection. It's really cool, and it's obviously going to be a really useful feature whenever it's used, but they didn't need to do it. They just did it because it's the right thing to do, and it's like pushing everyone forward. So I certainly hope I never use it, but it's really a really, really cool feature.
Yeah, and that kind of concludes everything that's new with the Series 8, I think, right? They mentioned that it can be on cellular in more places, which is always neat. And it comes in the same colors, I think, as last year. I guess there's no green, right? There was a green aluminum one from last year.
Well, they brought back silver.
Yeah,
So
and
I think last time they didn't have silver.
And gone are the titanium models. So not only did they axe the ceramic models, which were my favorite, they also axed the titanium models of the regular
asterisk,
Series
because
8.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah,
why.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything else other than that. Yeah. I think most of the other stuff is coming from WatchOS 9 rather than the new device itself. So there is that to look forward to. And I think that's all coming out next week, right? On Wednesday or something, September 12th.
The OSs or on Monday, actually?
Monday,
right?
Yeah, September 12th.
Yeah.
And yeah, the prices are, I think, staying the same for all of them. There's the Apple Watch SE, which got upgraded, and it now has like the better processor, but it's otherwise the same body case for it. Yeah, has all the same features that come with WatchOS 9, so that's neat.
And it has officially killed the Series 3, so they're not selling the Series 3 anymore, partly because it doesn't run WatchOS 9, but also because this device now officially replaces that.
If I were to get a new watch, I'd probably just get this one, because I just get the cheapest Apple Watch normally. Like, my Series 4 is just the base. I don't get the nice stainless steel model or anything, but for $250, okay, I could maybe justify that. I can't justify $400 for something I use.
You could
rarely.
ask your job to like, hey, what if we explore an Apple Watch app?
Editing video on a watch?
Yeah,
Ooh.
like
Not sure about that.
What an interesting design challenge.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I'm not
That's
up for that design
Cramming
challenge.
that down onto the watch.
The digital crown is a unique input source that's going to.
It's a jog wheel for scrubbing.
Yeah,
your face.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to revolutionize
like
the video editing business. And all this kind of leads us into, I think, the biggest reveal of the day, which is the Apple Watch Ultra. Like, I don't even think the iPhone really had much like coolness to it, and much focus when compared to this new thing, which is absolutely ginormous, by the way. Like, I don't know if anyone has like compared the size of this thing compared to the others. It's at 49 millimeters. Big flat slab of thick titanium and sapphire mini computer, which I think is amazing. Like, I don't know if any of you like regularly clean your watch. You definitely should. But if you pull off the bands of the watch, it's such a tiny little thing for what it's doing, and that always just surprises me that you can just kind of take that with a little soap and rub it under a faucet, and that's like an acceptable thing to do, which I would not have believed 20 years ago when someone tells me, oh yeah, you can just take a computer and just like wash it in the faucet and it's going to fit in the palm of your hand. But that's what it is, right?
Yeah. Just wait 20 years until battery technology sort of starts getting like incredibly good, because half of the watch is probably just the battery.
Yeah.
It'd be like unbelievable.
Well,
I mean, it's the same chip as... Sorry, it's the same chip as the S8, right? So,
Right.
I mean, that's the only thing that you need, which is pretty cool. I mean, okay, so they have like that extra speaker. I think it said it has 3 microphones as well.
Yes.
Right.
And the action button, I think is what they called it. I can't quite remember.
Right.
Yeah,
so there's a
that's
little more, but like probably just a bigger battery mostly.
It also has a depth sensor. That's
yes.
Next to the digital crown, there's a little like, I think next to the action button, actually, there's a little hole with the depth sensor.
yeah, it's one of these.
So there's some addition,
Lots
and then
of
like
holes.
the GPS chip has been designed to work with 2 different like frequencies of GPS. So that chip might be different, but all in all, it seems like probably most of the guts are pretty much the same as the Series 8. So I think that's a totally spot on idea that probably a nice healthy chunk of that case is just battery.
Yeah,
If they're getting up to
they
60
boosted it
hours.
from 18 to 36 of like non low power mode, whatnot.
Right.
So,
I think sorry.
No, I was gonna say I think the 3 microphones is mostly for redundancy as you're dragging this thing through mud. At least one of them should work at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to improve,
Noise
like
cancellation.
Pickup
for like if you're talking on it through on a phone call or something, because they made the speaker bigger too, so that you could hear things better for again if you're on the phone.
You gotta say things like way more cool, Ben. It's like if you're on a phone call while hunting sharks. Or if you're on a phone call while, I don't know, skydiving. Yeah, honey, I'm going to be late.
How do you think you incapacitate the shark? That's what the alarm is for. It sends out a sound wave in the ocean. It just stuns the shark.
The siren. It's the anti-shark siren. That's what they added it for. Yeah.
It's funny, but I think this is taking Dimitri's point about like being a mini computer. This is the first time I actually considered the watch an actual computer. Like the previous watch, it felt
because
it
it grew in
like
size.
I think it's just that the watch became an extension of the came out as an extension of the phone, right?
Yes.
So it was like your notifications, your health, whatever. But now, I mean, this is also one of the first times I'm actually thoroughly convinced by Apple's videos and the selling of the product. Like, oh shit, like this can actually change lives.
Yeah.
Like this can actually help rescue someone. This can actually bring like interesting data from Antarctica when you're like, I don't know, a scientist over there. Like this is actually something that I'd be like, wow, let's explore all the possibilities, which is amazing to think of.
Well, and we have someone that would actually use this watch.
One of these features.
None of us are extreme enough, except for Ben, to actually warrant using this watch.
So I take it from everybody's impressions of it that, especially considering that you said you guys probably aren't even going to buy a Series 8, that you're probably nobody here is in the market for an Apple Watch Ultra, I would assume.
Definitely not.
No, I wear the small one, and that one is going to be like ginormous on my tiny wrists. So
well, I already ordered an Ultra, so it'll be here on the 26th or whatever the first day of availability is. And so I'm not an ultra marathoner. I don't go backpacking in the middle of nowhere. But I am a scuba diver. And when they showed off somebody diving, was in full scuba gear underwater with their watch on, I like lost my mind. And in fact, literally in the middle of the keynote, I called my dad, who is somebody that we actually got certified together. Many years ago, and he's one of my dive buddies. We go diving together, and I called him like, "Holy crap! Apple just announced a dive computer!" Like, it's such a sort of a niche thing, right? There's a few million people in the world that go scuba diving, so it's not a tiny sport. It's a very popular sport, but kind of in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty niche. And then from a tech perspective, dive computers are again a very niche thing. There's a few major manufacturers that make them. Garmin being one of them. They're very expensive if you want one that's good. I mean, you can spend $1,000, $1,500 no problem on a dive computer. I've seen ones upwards of over $2,000. And in many respects, it is just a dive computer. All it does is help you when you go diving. It doesn't do anything else. Some of them, like Garmin makes a few that are watch style that are essentially smart watches that allow you to, you can wear it all the time if you wanted to. But it does, even those don't have the feature set that the Apple Watch does. So the fact that they thought that niche was big enough that they actually put very specific sort of features into the watch to make that supported is kind of crazy to me. That they would do that. I mean, the other people that you see on the kayakers and ultra marathoners and people like that, I don't know how big those markets are, but they're probably bigger than scuba diving, I would imagine, at least some of those. At least somebody who might run like the Chicago Marathon, that's potentially a bigger market than the people who scuba dive. So just really impressive that because once you decide that you want to have a computer that you put on your wrist that you then go 100 feet underwater with, and it not only doesn't break, but also tracks your bottom time and and your nitrogen loading and all the stuff that you need to track when you scuba dive. You really add a lot of constraints to the technical sort of specifications for said device. And I am surprised that they sort of took that on as like, we're going to tackle this and incorporate it in. And very impressed that they we'll see. I'm going to go diving in it, and I'll tell you if it breaks. But like, they seem to have kind of nailed it, which is cool because the stuff that I've used in the past, it's all been like, this is great, but like, how cool would it be if I had my iPhone with me when I was diving? Like, because the interface is better, and like, there's just a bunch of things about it that are just more fun and pleasurable to use as a tech consumer. And I just never thought that would be something that would actually not only be maybe like kind of supported, but like officially supported and even called out by Apple in their keynote is just super, super cool. So I'm, as you might have noticed, I'm pretty jazzed about it. I'm really excited to check it out and see. And the partnership they made with Oceanic to build the diving app and stuff all sounds really fun. And I'm excited to try that out and see what the companion iPhone app looks like. And because that's another thing about this is, there's been kind of there's been a tech revolution, right, in our daily lives, and there are some industries that haven't really caught up that well. And for the most part, the diving tech industry, while very specific and technical and demanding as far as the specs and everything, aren't always the most what I would call tech forward.
Sure.
So things like getting the dive data off of your computer, like let's say into an app on your phone that tracks your logs and things, anywhere from kind of a pain to basically impossible.
Please call us at 1-800 and we'll help you download.
Yeah, no, seriously. Or like, here's a CD that you need to install in order to like get the software.
First, install the CD on your Windows XP.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And here's a special proprietary USB cable that plugs into your dive computer with a special thing that if you break or lose it, you are totally screwed. So yeah, it's an industry that, in many, it keeps us safe, so that's good. They're good at that, but they're not necessarily that good at some of these other things. So the idea that I'll come up to the surface, I'll get back on the boat, and my Apple Watch that I'm already wearing will just automatically sync all the dive log data to the Oceanic app on my phone. It's just like so cool. I'm just so excited to check it out. So I'll be sure maybe I can come back and in a little bit when I've taken it out for a test run, and I can report in on how that went. But
heck yeah,
sounds good. Yeah, I kind of wonder, like based on what you said earlier, Ben, how it's interesting how Apple chose to focus on scuba divers here with like specialized sensors. That's just useful for that. It's not really useful for anything else. I wonder if every year the Apple Watch Ultra may focus on a different thing. Like this year is a scuba watch, and next year won't be a scuba watch. It'll be a mountaineering watch or whatnot, and it'll have like special altitude sensors and whatnot. And like it's just every few years you get a new scuba watch, because as we kind of all already fell into this pattern, we don't really buy new Apple Watches every year. We buy them every 2 or 3 years. So maybe that's enough to kind of like be able to focus and give like every extreme sport, like maybe they're going to need an extreme ironing watch for all that craziness that people actually do. And like that will be 1 year, and then the next year will be a different extreme thing. And that will kind of be able to allow these different kind of focuses to exist without all existing at once, because you don't really need to do every extreme sport, right? It's something that people pick and choose, like, I do this kind, and that's pretty much the only kind I do.
Right. Yeah, I've gone skydiving once. I went skydiving when I was for my 30th birthday, just because I wanted to experience it one time. And obviously that is mostly it's mostly a spectator thing. They strap you to an instructor, and that person does all of the work. You just are along for the ride. And it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. But like, for example, probably wouldn't take it up as a hobby, because I already do a thing that is very equipment intensive, tends to be kind of expensive, and is, anywhere from lightly to moderately dangerous depending on the conditions.
It's less likely to go splat.
So there's that. I mean, there's the whole, like getting the benzene or, running out of air or something. But we're very conservative. When we go diving, we're very like what we call fair weather divers. Like, calm seas, good visibility. We're not
pretty fish.
We're not. We're not like pushing the boundaries, right, of what's possible underwater with a human being. So it's for us, it's been a very safe sport, but inherently it's riskier than just being on land. So probably not going to take up other like super high or just sports and activities that that are inherently more dangerous than daily life. One of those is probably enough. So
yeah, I was gonna say the closest I ever got to skydiving was skydiving in a tube. Which is very safe by comparison, and you get most of the thrill. Without the view that you probably can't see anyways because there's so much wind. Yeah,
you can see I live in Florida, and I went skydiving off the coast of Cape Canaveral, and so I actually got to see Kennedy and the launch pads and all that stuff.
Damn.
That's cool.
When I was
that's
diving,
neat.
so that was fun. But yeah, I would bet you probably at least 70% of the fun can be had in a tube.
So yeah, the Apple Watch Ultra, it is big, it is chunky, it is also very bright. It's like the brightest watch by far. That should help you when you go visit the sun to still be able to see your watch.
Right.
I don't know. I guess if there's a lot of dust, it's still like easy to see. But I don't know what explorers. That was a term that Apple used. I'm too entrenched in anime, so I'm gonna call them adventurers. But I don't know what these people like to do typically. But it seems like it's a rough life.
Maybe like climbing Everest or something.
There you go.
Would be you'd need the ice searing nits.
Well, so they're saying because the 14 series, or at least the pros, right? They also have this 2,000 peak nits of brightness. So
for like 3 seconds.
They were, yeah, for a short period. So they're saying in theory it'll help you if you're in direct sunlight outside, right? And so I'm assuming that this is probably for the same reason. And I will say that if it's the daytime and if you're on like a dive boat, right, off the coast of Florida in the summertime, it's going to be very bright and sunny.
With a wet watch.
So being able to see it, right, even if it's just sort of quickly to glance at some things is certainly, useful. So yeah, I go for it. Like I applaud their that they're really trying to improve like the usage of it, right? Like being able to use it in more situations.
Yeah.
Yep. And it works like in a much wider temperature range than most other devices. -4 Fahrenheit to 135 Fahrenheit or something, which is quite wild when most computer devices kind of tell you, hey, don't use this in any extreme temperatures, please and thank you. So that's neat. And then it has 3 new bands, which are like very focused on the adventuring personality, I guess. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
Sounds
They're
pretty cool.
And these bands they're designs that are at least vaguely similar to some designs for other kinds of adventure-y focused watches. So they're not completely breaking the mold here. Like for example, so what I ordered mine with was the I don't remember what they're calling it, but it's essentially the diving band, the rubber one with the holes in it that has the 2 metal sort of loops. And the reason for that is because it has 2 ways to kind of lock the thing onto your wrist, which is good. And then so it's not a single point of failure. And then also it's highly adjustable, which is very useful for if you're going to put the watch over a wetsuit. Which frequently, if you're going to wear a wetsuit, you're going to then want to wear your dive watch over it.
But how's it going to get your heart rate as you have your heart attack in the middle of the ocean?
I'm wondering, like, does all that stuff not work when you're underwater? Like, I don't know.
That's why we have you to test it out, man.
Yeah, see, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. If I go into AFib in the middle of my dive, hopefully that doesn't happen.
Be bad.
Guys, guess what?
Oh no, I'm getting an AFib detection. I better go back to the service. But anyway, so I ordered the yellow one. They offer it in like, I want to say
cool.
I think they're, what are the colors? It's like let me go look it up here. So it's like a dark blue, a bright yellow, and then a white. Okay, white is the other. So they're calling it the Ocean Band. That's let's get the names right. So it's Midnight, which is their like super dark blue, almost black. There's white, and then there's yellow. And I decided to go with the yellow because, if you're gonna wear a large, garish adventure watch, why not like don't
Go
buy a
all the
Lamborghini and then get it in like tan, right? Like you're gonna get it in like electric orange or like or canary yellow or
Agreed.
let's lean
dude.
into the ridiculousness of it, right? So so I ordered the yellow.
I love it.
Yeah, and I imagine the touchscreen does not work very well underwater either, and that's probably why they added that extra button, the action button,
right?
The adventure button, because that's where you click to start your adventures.
Right. Yeah. So like you can apparently, so you'll be able to program it it'll have some kind of built-in features, and then, like, for example, you can use it to start your dive with the Oceanic app. But apparently also it is a fully programmable button just in general. So you'll be able to use app intents if you're a developer to work with the button in your app. And if you're a user, apparently you can set it to trigger any shortcut you want. If you have a shortcut programmed in on your watch or on your phone, you can make that button trigger that shortcut, so that people who maybe weren't into the adventurous things I saw on Twitter were kind of like, oh, you can trigger any shortcut you want with the action button. They suddenly became
an extra
more
button.
Intrigued. Yeah, it's just an extra piece of functionality. So very cool.
Yeah.
Imagine if Apple, instead of having a nice button with bezels, it was just like a label and it was capacitive touch, and that'd be your adventure button.
But then it wouldn't work on the water. Like
it wouldn't. Yeah. See,
I want.
But it would look
kind of seems
pristine.
Yeah, that's true.
Luckily for us, now that you mention it, we've kind of gone past the pristine phase. Right?
Yeah.
Have we? Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that that's generally true. Yeah, because this is. I'm guessing that if Johnny Ive were in charge of this design, he probably would have.
Yuck.
He would have probably thrown this away fairly early on and been like, no, it has to be.
Yeah.
And there's a reason he quit. No, just kidding.
It's this, right? They were like, we're going to build an adventure watch. And he's like, no, I'm out.
One thing I wonder about this action button, though, from like the close-up video of it, it kind of looked like there was almost like a silicone
gasket
banding around it. Yeah, gasket. So it's probably like fairly tactile. Probably goes in really well. I just wonder like what happens if that breaks. You know what I mean? Like I'm looking forward to like
your watch has a leak.
Tear down.
You're probably
for real
anyway. So.
And then also the regular, what is the regular button called? The one, so not the crown, but we have like the regular button. I don't know what it's
Wasn't
called.
Wasn't it the people button in the first watch? Like that's how you get your people.
I think it was. I think you're right. The first Apple Watch OS. That was what a crazy stupid thing was that.
They didn't know what they're doing.
They had no idea.
No, yeah, they had no idea.
They had no idea. But on the Ultra,
the side
that button,
I think.
Okay, the side button. That button is also, it's not like on our watches, the button is flush with the body and it's actually curved so that it just blends perfectly in. This one is intentionally not like that. It's raised above, it's more tactile. And the idea is because if you're running a marathon or you're underwater or wearing gloves, right, you got to be able to feel for it. So I do really like that, this version of Apple is not afraid of saying, hey, the digital crown should be bigger, have bigger sort of knurled edges on it to make it usable with gloves. Like, if you're going to make a watch that is like I'm going to use while I'm scuba diving, it has to actually work for me in that environment, right? Like, it's pretty, but I can't use it. Like, that's not, like if I'm relying on it in part for my safety, I can't afford for it to be pretty but not functional, right?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess that leads into ultimately the cost of this thing. I think it's cheaper. So even though it's a titanium watch, it's cheaper than the old titanium watches from the Series 7 line. And like as you were mentioning, Ben, it's a lot cheaper than most other competitors in the space that just do the one thing. And they might do the one thing deeper, or they might not.
Sure.
I don't really know.
Sure.
Right? So
I did see people complaining online about like people who do like mountaineering and stuff, like that specific kind of activity that they are saying that there are competitors that have much longer battery life, like a week. Like you could charge it up and then use it for an entire week.
There's
and
also no screen.
Yeah, right. Well, and they were claiming that like it could track you with GPS and stuff, and it does actually have some decent functionality, but it has this really long battery life, and they're like, oh, this is crap because it doesn't compete. And it's like, well, okay, so it's not perfect, like you said, it's not perfectly sort of deep for all of those different things. But they're trying to target. I mean, clearly they're trying to target multiple niches with this thing, and they're not going to be able to optimize for all of those scenarios. And maybe it's a terrible dive watch. I'll let you know. But it's certainly, from my perspective, like the coolest attempt I think I've seen at somebody trying to do that in a way that it aligns with kind of what I already want, which is like I'm totally in the Apple ecosystem, and I really enjoy their whole general situation, the UI, the design, everything. So I'm pretty pumped.
I don't know if this really factors into the price, but I looked, and you can just buy the Ocean Band for any watch. It's $100, but it's just comes with the $800 Ultra. So like,
right,
there's a little value there too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised that their bands weren't, because I did after I ordered mine. I was like, I wonder if I wanted to get on their band. I wonder how much they are, and they're all 3 designs are the same price. They're $199.
Oh.
Which maybe this is just me having Stockholm syndrome from being an Apple customer, but like I was kind of surprised that they weren't more. I was just expecting them to be $149, $199, or even different prices depending on which one you picked. But they're not. They're all the same.
Yep.
Neat. And like all the other bands, they work with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that is the question. Do these bands work on non-Ultra?
Yes.
It's all still interchangeable. So does that mean that I can even put my current band on the Ultra, or?
I think so.
So I think the one part where it'll look silly is the width of the band is not going to take up the whole width, or it may like overshoot it.
Okay, got it.
But so the locking mechanism I think is the same.
Okay. So real-time follow-up, the Series 7 41 millimeter GPS and cellular titanium watch was $799, and then the 45 millimeter titanium GPS plus cellular was, there's a range here. It says, wait a minute.
And that's with the cheapest band, right?
Oh, no, sorry. I was reading the wrong price. So it's $849 for the 41 millimeter and $899 for the 45 millimeter titanium Series
That's
7.
where all their titanium went, man. They're like, we don't have enough titanium for both of these. Let's just use it all on the Ultra.
So you're right. This Ultra is actually not as expensive as the previous generation titanium Apple Watch.
Yep. You just need to be okay with a ginormous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like not a luxury product.
Yeah.
Which is fine. I mean, that's why there's multiple products, right?
Yeah.
A little something for everyone.
That's right.
So, going into the next piece of the event, we have a new HomePods. Are you excited, Spencer?
AirPods?
Wait, what?
I think people wish there was a new HomePod.
Yeah, no new HomePods, unfortunately. HomePods. Yeah. But we do have new AirPod Pros. And yeah, they do the thing that they do. I don't know what else to say about them. I plan on ordering one. But yeah,
I do too. And the thing that got me was not like the double noise cancellation or that new kind of active different noise cancellation. It was the dang touch sensitivity to let me change the volume.
The volume.
Man. I was like, all right, you sold me there.
You don't like asking Siri kindly to change the volume for you and then waiting a very long time?
I hate talking to Siri, man.
Hey Siri, volume down. Hey Siri, volume. No, stop. Don't call my mom. Stop. Oh my god.
I actually disabled Siri on both my watch and my phone because I literally never use it. And the advantage to doing that, if you turn it off, is that the sleep button is now immediate because it doesn't have to wait
to detect if.
Yeah.
I'll 100% disable it on my watch. Like I don't think
right.
I've ever needed. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
so I certainly. Go ahead, Dimitri.
Oh, I was gonna say I certainly disabled Hey Siri on all my devices other than HomePods because they just.
Did you?
Speaking of which.
Did you, Dimitri?
Speaking of which. So yeah, whatever she's doing,
great.
She's doing something. I shouldn't have said the words out loud, but I mostly did that because if you ever ask to like turn on the lights or whatnot, it will like turn on the whole house's lights if the phone or iPad or watch catches it, rather than a HomePod in a room, and then like everything is on, and it's like did not ever want that. So that was my main reason. But that's interesting that you mentioned just like disabling it entirely on the device. I guess I wouldn't be able to do that because I have a fair amount of shortcuts which I use like on the daily, and I like always just trigger it on my phone to like turn on a million alarms or turn off the million alarms and stuff like that.
Right. So interestingly, they have the new AirPods Pro 2nd generation, which we're talking about here, brand new product. They've discontinued the old Pros. You can only get the new 2nd gen Pros. Mm-hmm. They still have the Max, the giant ones. They have the 3rd gen regular AirPods, which look like the Pros but don't have the little rubber like.
And you can get them for $10 cheaper if you don't get the charging case.
Right, which
Big
is
savings.
so weird.
But just like Spencer with the volume, the charging case being able to be charged from your Apple Watch charger,
That's
Yes.
cool.
that was pretty cool.
Or
And
MagSafe.
Find My,
But-
and it has
Yeah,
Find My
Find
bill.
My.
It's an AirTag, dude. That's
Yeah.
so good.
So for me, that was the selling. You said the volume slider thing was the selling
Okay.
point for you. For me, it was the U1 chip because I constantly lose my AirPods, and being able to have it like I can just follow the arrow on my phone and have it find it, and then have it make a loud noise because they added a bigger speaker to the case so that it can make a much louder noise to tell you where it is. I'm like, that's enough. Like, done. Sold.
Yeah.
I literally lost my AirPods Pro for months. Bought a pair of AirPods like regular, started using them, and then after a while I found them. I was like, okay, I guess I have 2 pairs now.
You have a day pair and a night pair.
Yeah. No, I actually don't like the AirPods Pro for like day-to-day use.
Really?
The noise canceling, I find it way too jarring. Like if I'm at the gym or if I'm walking and hearing music, I want the regular AirPods. But
So then you won't like the new ones because supposedly the noise canceling is twice as good as the noise canceling.
No. There is a but, which is if I'm traveling, the
Right.
AirPods Pro are a godsend. They're
for sure.
amazing. Just
Yeah,
like
for sure.
boom, forget that you're in an airplane. It's just
Yes.
amazing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. So would they still
So-
also sell the second gen regular AirPods as well, which is the case that's like taller, and then they have the longer stock for $129. So they really price bracketed
Wow.
this market.
That's pretty
where,
good.
Yeah, where they kind
Like
of cover.
that's-
So $129, $169, $249 are all of the Buds versions,
Normal.
and
That's
then
Christmas
$549 for
present
the
good.
Max.
Yeah.
You get an AirPods. You get an AirPods. And you can do Memoji engravings on all of them, so everyone knows exactly whose case is whose.
That's great.
Yes.
I love that.
That's cool. I'll get one
I
of
guess-
Tim Apple on mine.
There
I
you
guess
go.
you'd have to do that on your phone, right? Because like the website ain't gonna know
Right. Yeah.
what Memoji you want to
That's
use.
a good point.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
So is everybody getting a new pair of AirPods, or is it just some of you? Or
I
am.
already bought some
Right.
like emergency.
you already have 2,
AirPods.
so you're good.
So I'm out, but I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah, I'm still sporting the OG AirPods, which battery ain't great nowadays.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and these are available to order tomorrow as we record, which is in the distant past from when most people listen to this. So order them because they will likely be back ordered out the wazoo, like almost every Apple product.
And they're putting a 4th pair of the little silicone tips in there, an extra small size.
Extra
so if you have
small. That's
tiny
nice.
ears, you can maybe this will work for you in a way that it didn't used to, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm interested because I use the small tips.
Okay.
I don't know. My ears are small, so I wonder if the extra small will be too small or if it'll be good.
Yeah, you'll try to be like, oh wow, how did I go without this?
Yeah.
I guess that brings up while we got to that slide, the adaptive transparency, which is really interesting for me because I think Fernando, that kind of hits both worlds for you, where you don't want the noise canceling until you do and it's too late. And this might like proactively notice that it's too late and then keep you from having to like be jarred by it.
So I think I missed this feature. So it's saying that like it will turn on transparency automatically, or
So you can just be on transparency, which allows you to hear everything from the outside
Sure,
world.
right. Yep.
And then as someone just starts jackhammering right next to you, that will automatically noise cancel the jackhammering part, and
Oh,
not
wow.
not the rest.
that's
Yeah,
amazing.
pretty
I didn't.
gnarly.
I missed that
Yeah.
entirely. That's amazing.
It's pretty cool. It sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
It's crazy to think that
because I haven't listened to
that like there's literally a tiny computer in each of these earbuds that is doing
Yep.
all this crazy like
Yeah,
where
dude.
what year is it? This is it's so crazy
know.
sometimes to think about this stuff.
Yeah, you wash computers and faucets, and you wear them in your ears, and
And you
this
wear
is
them in
just-
your ears, yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Wait until
the
you
way
hear
you
out
do.
the satellite rescue missions.
You haven't heard
In
the half of
space.
it yet.
It's funny.
So yeah,
No, but
let's just
seriously,
go
Sylvia
ahead
and
and
go
go for it, Fernando.
Sylvia and I were watching at the keynote, and we were constantly like, we're living in the future.
Yeah.
What? Like the watch can do what? Like you can mitigate sound like dynamically. You can call for emergency services via satellite. What the? This is the future. We're living in the future. Like damn.
Pretty crazy.
We're just missing flying cars, and that's about it.
I know.
Yeah, and who needs
Wait
those? I don't
a
wanna
couple of
drive
years.
anymore.
Also,
Well,
did
I'm
you
happy
guys,
staying
did
at
you
home.
guys did you guys see that
Oh.
it was, I think, a little bit earlier this year that somebody figured out that George Jetson was born?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go by like how old he is in the show, like he would have to have been born like this year.
And we have the exact birthday. Like I think it was July 1st or something.
Yeah, something like
Nice.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I long maintain that Futurama like picked the right amount of time to set themselves up for, because none of us are going to live to see that. So there's the most plausibility in there. Yeah.
Right.
I
But
hope
if we
not.
don't have that, if I don't have that suitcase flying car pretty soon, I'm gonna be pretty upset. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Funny Apple tangent. Jobs felt that he was going to be one of the last humans to die, or one of the first humans to like achieve immortality, due to like medical advances.
Yeah.
I think he was in the ballpark within like 100 years.
Yeah.
If we're really lucky and we don't die and we live up to 80,
Yeah.
I could see it. Like,
I mean, I don't want to be 80 for another 100 years. I want to be like
It'll be
40
too
for
late.
100 years.
Put me in a robot body or something. Yeah.
Exactly. You only gotta be 80 for like 100 years. After that, you get a robot body, and
I was gonna say, like Robot Nixon or something.
yeah.
Arr.
All right. I'd even be cool with there's a Black Mirror episode where basically the people find out. Hopefully not spoiling it. They find out that they're in a simulation where they like died, and they put their consciousness inside a simulation.
Very famous
Good
episode.
with me.
It was like one of the ones that wasn't like didn't have like a terrible ending like normally. They're super dystopian. This one,
That's totally right.
maybe you would consider that dystopian, but I wouldn't. Like I'd be like, yeah, upload my consciousness to a server, and I'll just live forever as a virtual human. That works. Like,
Heck
yeah.
I like eating too much to be a virtual me. Like that'll be a little hard to enjoy that.
No more sushi.
No more
but the
sushi. Yeah, I
benefit
can't
of
do
it
that.
is-
I need my real or virtual sushi, I guess. As long as I can
Exactly.
enjoy the feeling of it.
Listen, how do you know this? What you're eating right now isn't virtual sushi? That's the question.
Oh,
So,
I'm
yeah, that's
pretty
what I was gonna
confident
say.
because my whole body is like aching. Like nothing is in an optimal state. So I'm pretty sure
You're saying
it's
this is a terrible simulation if it is one.
Yeah, I want my money back for that.
if we have the technology to put you on a robot suit, like there's ought to be an upgrade where you can tap a button and the button says like sushi. So you can just tap it and your
have
brain
sushi.
And then you just
instantly-
become sushi.
Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh.
Solved.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Ridiculousness aside, Apple unveiled new iPhones. They took last year's iPhone 13 Pro and they basically rebranded it as an iPhone 14 and said, "Hey everyone, we made this phone cheaper and more aluminum-y, but it's untouched. Even though we have a brand new A15 amazing chip in here." And was I the only one who was like, wasn't the A15 last year? Like, I'm confused. Why are they like showing it off so much? But yeah, it's
Well, because
they
it's
were
so much
showing
better
off
than the
last year.
competition. Even last year's chip is better than everybody else's.
Even the 13, the A13 is so much better than the competition,
Yeah.
as they'd like to remind us. So, yeah.
they just put the 5-core GPU version
Yes.
in this one.
It's the only
whereas
difference.
last year it was the 4-core GPU.
Oh,
in the normal non-pro models.
Are we at the like? Can I have a conspiracy theory corner?
Go
Sure.
for it.
Like what's with the chips? Like, yeah, all of the products in the keynote was amazing, but like this was like a sore point for me. Like, no upgrades, I don't know. It felt weird.
It all started when the U.S. automobile market decided, oh, there's a global pandemic. People are not going to buy cars. Therefore, we're going to cancel our orders. And then that turned into a snowball of doom that has completely ruined the world economy because everything relies on chips, and now there are not enough to go around. So that's what happens to the chips, Fernando. thanks
but
to
it
U.S.
feels weird. Like that doesn't explain why we didn't
auto
get,
manufacturers.
Yeah, but that doesn't explain. That would explain shortages. But what happened to the upgrades? Because even the
they kept it for the Pro. Like,
but is that was that I don't know. Maybe I'm just spoiled. Like, oh, here is that 200% gain year over year, and that's like 18%. What am I gonna do with 18%? It just felt underwhelming. But
fair.
It's the iPhone's like 15th year, so maybe it's just me.
Maybe.
I mean, look at the S5 to S6 to S7 to S8. Like, there's no like visceral speed improvement between all those, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
it's true.
So
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
well, that's
so.
why
I
it's
guess
a
one
conspiracy
thing,
corner and not a conspiracy like house.
right? I think one thing worth noting here is they killed the Mini, and they added a what do they call it? Max
Plus.
Pro.
The Plus.
Plus.
Oh my god!
Bring the Plus
Sorry.
name back.
Can we stop with the
Yeah.
names?
Okay, no, to be fair.
No, it's Apple.
To be fair, regular people, they don't refer to these as the iPhone M2 Pro Max Ultra whatnot.
fair.
Like, they're not going to say all that. They're going to
With
memorize
A15 Bionic.
one word. I got the regular, the Plus, the Pro, or the Max. And now
I
that
agree
is
with
very easy.
I agree with that. I like that. But it's like, I don't know.
And then
We've
some
had,
people
like,
are going to
the
say they
bigger
got the
phones.
Ultra, and then you have to explain, no, the Ultra is just for the
Yeah.
Mac or the watch. You probably never heard of the Max. You're probably thinking of the watch.
Exactly.
And yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Just do small. Like, let's do small iPhone, big iPhone. That's it.
Well, and to be honest, that's probably what
That's
people
what it
are going to
is.
call it.
But
right? They're gonna
none
be
of
like, I
these
got
are
the
small
iPhone
iPhones,
with it.
Fernando.
Yeah, well,
They're-
yeah.
that's totally right, Dimitri. They killed our small iPhone.
So are you guys going on like are you going to go like on like the tech equivalent of a hunger strike and you're just not going to buy any more iPhones until they bring the small
Oh
one
no,
back?
I'm gonna
Like,
get.
Oh, I already bought a big one last year. It didn't last very long.
Oh no. Not even phased at all.
Did you get the Max
Mad,
just
but
to
not
spite them?
phased.
Be like, I hate this large phone, but I'm getting it anyway.
No, I did not. I when they follow up with like the survey, I don't know if you ever need to like do Apple surveys, but I always buy through the business line, so they always send me a survey right afterwards. And every single time I'm like, bring back the iPhone Mini, please. I bought this
Nice.
regrettably.
Yeah.
But with the new iPhone 13 Pros, I mean iPhone 14s, we have a new front-facing camera. I think that's the only thing that's new on this device that like didn't exist previously.
The
I don't
screen
think-
intensity?
I don't think the screen intensity is
I don't think
improved on the regular
Only
14.
on the Pro.
Yeah,
Only
it's
on the
just an iPhone 13 Pro, just
That
in
makes sense.
aluminum.
In aluminum
I
body,
think
yeah.
the main
And
camera,
one less
which
camera.
is the main camera is the one from the iPhone 13 Pro. They no longer call it the wide camera; it's now just the main camera because no one understood what on earth people are talking about. The front facing thing has autofocus, and the gyroscopometer and things are fast.
There's crash detection stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Does the regular 14 also have the satellite SOS thing, or
I think it does. Yeah.
yeah? Okay.
Or did it not?
Yes, it does.
It does.
Yeah. There's action mode, which seems
Action
really
mode.
cool.
Yeah.
Like no bouncy videos anymore. That's always fun. There's no more SIM tray. It's
like
purely eSIM.
Right.
I don't know like how easy it's going to be to transfer a phone number from a SIM to an eSIM. I guess that remains to be seen, and I will report back because my phone currently has a regular SIM in it. And I sure don't want to go to AT&T to deal with them. So I'm just going to try
people
myself
online are
and fail.
complaining that the eSIM problem is just that basically the carriers are going to be able to charge you $30 to transfer your number, and where they do like basically nothing because it's all just electronic, and they're just going to charge you $30 for no reason. That's what people mostly been complaining about the eSIM is that not that paying $30 for a tiny piece of plastic is any better, but yeah,
I recycle my piece of plastic. It has gone through many a phone.
Nice. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how well that works. The transfer and everything.
Yeah.
Here we go to the future.
Yeah, and this is the cool stuff. So now you can ask for Uber Eats in the middle of nowhere via satellite.
That's what it's for.
And I'm mostly joking, but this is really, really cool because instead of having a big janky antenna to communicate with any satellite in the sky, the iPhone is using the fact that it has a screen and some decent programmers and software to tell you to point it in a direction in the sky, and your arm becomes the directional antenna. Kind of like in the olden days where you had to tell people, no, a little more to the right to get the channel. This is literally worse than that because you have to hold it for like 15 seconds to send a short text in the best of cases, I think it was.
Yeah.
That was the best
Up
of
to a
cases.
couple minutes.
Yeah, which is amazing, but also like
to be fair,
amazing.
you're talking to a satellite in space. Like that's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But it doesn't work.
I don't
if
know.
you're
I had
unconscious?
DirecTV and that talked to a satellite in space, and that didn't seem like...
Unless it was raining, and then you get nothing.
Yeah.
I think the most surprising part, honestly, about this isn't the technology. Did you guys catch that Tim, whoever presented this, said that they had teams of people? Like,
Yes.
just like on
Who
standby?
went to space?
No, so it was.
no.
So how this works is that they built it around because of the bandwidth constraints. They built it such that basically when you start this process,
There's a
rather than just
wizard.
letting you type anything you want, like it's a wizard to like, are you hurt? Where are you? What that kind of thing, and they can crunch that data down and send it up to the satellite, and that gets relayed to a system that determines what EMS service needs to respond to your specific GPS location. And if that service that they're talking to, which is probably going to be like some kind of municipality, right, like a county or a city or something, if they support direct like text messaging with emergency people, then they will connect you directly to that. But if that service does not support that technology, then the only way that they could contact them is through like a phone call. But you can't make a phone call with the system. So what they've done is, I think this is what my guess is, because they've partnered with a company to do this. My guess is probably the partner company is the one running these places, but they've basically, I guess, built like call centers around the world that will intercept these text messages and then physically call an EMS service on the phone and then relay all of your data through the phone to the paramedics and whoever. So
I mean, do you need to
That's
have
pretty
call
gnarly.
centers around the world? I mean, it's all going to satellite to one centralized location.
No, right. But at least 24-hour service.
yeah, that's what I meant, I guess. Yeah.
But it's incredible. Like I was when they announced that, I was like, okay, how much is this going to cost? Because
Right.
I could I'll definitely get it, like for emergencies. If you're like, even if you're not in the middle of anywhere of wherever, like in some places while you're driving, you get very lousy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
3G or cellular connection. So
Yeah.
but they didn't like. It's just a thing that your phone has.
Free for 2 years, they said.
Free for 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And I
my
think
guess
it's probably
is-
going to be free forever. Like
you
it's
think?
they didn't get the thing like squared away, but you're only communicating with Apple with this. You're not really
Right.
communicating with anyone
Right.
else. And I think that Apple can probably like negotiate a group deal, as they like to call it in the industry, of 1 billion iPhone users who are gonna never use this and say like,
Right.
hey, we'll just foot the cost for this for whoever does end up using it because it adds value to us. And like whenever they use it, like that's that.
But how could they ever afford it with their chicks notes? $200 billion in like liquidity assets. I
It'll
don't
run
know,
'em dry.
Dimitri. I don't know.
Another cool thing with this, though, is in some capacity, it will also update your Find My location, which is super cool as well. So that, I think, is the only other use for the satellite.
Yeah. Because
But,
there are
like that alone is super.
there are actually devices that you can buy, little mini like GPS tracker devices that you can purchase, that you then pay some kind of a subscription fee
Right.
Yep.
to be part of, and all it does is it just basically tracks your location, sends that location to a server, and then your loved ones can like look on a web page where you are. So like if you're out for a long hike or you've gone camping or something, it's basically kind of a way to let the people that are in your life to know where you are, and then if you do need help, I think some of them do have like an SOS sort of function, but that's an entire product with its own subscription service and its own thing. And this is just, again, it's Apple doing what they do best, which is Sherlocking other businesses. Just like, here, we're just going to put this in the iPhone.
Yep.
Yeah. I was wondering, like it seemed like during the event they mentioned that like you could use this for emergencies, but you also don't, like you could use this for other use cases as well. But I think that just ended up being just the Find My thing. If you did want to send a message like bring more chips because you all went camping and you are out of cell reception area, but you want someone to bring more chips, you could just walk the bring and just like spell out with your feet your message, and then hope the other person is like watching at the same time. And that's how you can get your message across. There's always a way.
Like
Seems very reasonable. I don't know why.
Chips will find a way.
Oh my gosh. It's great.
I mean, in all honesty, this is kind of like how what's SpaceX's Starlink. This is how their dishes work. Their dishes are programmed to know where the satellites are, basically, and they track them.
Right.
And that's how it can get a good connection, because it's not just pointed at the sky. It's like actually pointing to a specific satellite, and therefore able to get a decent connection via it. And like if I ever did go camping again, which I plan on eventually doing, I was considering just getting one of those Starlink dishes, because you can use them like on a not a reoccurring, but like a once every blue moon kind of situation, and bring it with you. And that would be an equally great way to get connection while out and about, where you wouldn't otherwise get connection. That
they
said,
recently added an RV mode basically to Starlink, where before it was you kind of had to like set it up in like at your house, right, and then it's never going to move.
And don't move.
And they recently added like a mode or a subscription version of it where you can, if you live in a van or an RV or something, and you are periodically on the move, it doesn't work while you're in motion, but like if you get to a campground and set up, you set your RV up to stay for a while, you can then put the satellite, the dish outside and then get service. So like that exact use case, right, where you want to have internet when you're remote like that.
Yeah, I'm mostly to tell people like, hey, we forgot to bring this or that, chips. Like bring extra blankets, chips, s'mores, like ice. Like we've had to travel 2 hours back to the nearest like phone booth, and not cell tower, but phone booth, to make those requests in the past. And something like this, I think, will be very welcome. In terms of not needing to drive 2 more hours and just hold your phone for 2 minutes to get your simple little message across. So it's available in the US and Canada in November. So it's not worldwide yet, but I don't see why it couldn't be, like, other than them turning off satellites when they're over other countries, which we loosely discussed with the Starlink stuff. So.
Yeah, and so Global Star is, I'm looking at this, Global Star is the company they've partnered with to offer this service. And supposedly, Elon Musk tweeted, I think it was today, maybe?
Yeah, I saw that too.
Today. He tweeted today that that SpaceX and Apple had some promising conversations around connecting Starlink to this iPhone feature. So, that could just be bluster. Who knows, right? He's kind of famous for that. But
we all know it's Elon Musk.
But it would be cool, right? It would be
really cool. But he has zero say. Like I don't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. Anything. Like, really.
What? Come on. What do you mean? Full self-driving is right around the corner.
We already have it.
Which corner?
You just you just go in front of the steering wheel and you drive.
Oh, yeah.
You yourself are driving. Duh.
Yours, yeah.
Funny stuff.
So yeah, new iPhone is both underwhelming but also extremely exciting. And yeah, it's interesting that it's both the same price as in the past. It's available very, very soon. And the big one is always available later because gotta wait longer for it to walk over to your house, I guess. And yeah,
they let it grow longer. It's got to mature a little bit more.
A completely fair point. Completely forgot about the average growth for the screens.
Yes,
takes a few months.
Obviously. That was a terrible joke.
So that leads into the actual cool phones, which are the iPhone 14 Pro, which basically look like iPhone 13 Pros, but have newer stuff in them. Am I getting that right?
And come in purple.
Well, they
now.
don't look like, because we have the dynamic island of coolness.
And you can get it in purple.
Yeah.
Yes.
Definitely gonna get one in purple if I do
A
change
new color.
colors.
Yeah.
I'm honestly tempted by the goldish one because I wear an orange case and I think it would look cool with a little tint of orange, even though it's gaudy. I'm not doing it. Never mind.
Well, if you put a case on it, the gaudiest part will be
out of that
one. So.
Hard 180 there.
I lasted very long with that. But yeah, it comes in the typical surgical steel finishes because you're going to perform surgery with these things on your island. And like jokingly aside, I think the dynamic island thing is the coolest thing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They made the most out of it that they could. They absolutely. I mean, everyone's like, crap, the notch. Oh crap, it's going to be a hole punch. But I mean, they made it something that is highly functional.
Because the rumors were, so it was going to be like hole punch plus pill, right, for the camera and then the extra sensors, and that is basically what they ended up doing. And the rumor was that they're gonna put if your microphone or your camera is activated, you know how you get the little dots in the corner.
Yep.
They were gonna put the dots in between the hole punch and the pill,
right,
in the screen area as a way to just have a sort of standard place to put that. That was the rumor. What they actually did was, we're going to build an entirely new notification model and interaction model around what are effectively little widgets, and we're gonna lean into this area and make it like a dynamic part of the thing. Which I don't see any rumors about that at all. Like people misjudge that completely. And I always like when Apple does that. Like when everybody thinks they know exactly what's going to happen, and then and Apple pulls like a 90-degree turn on them and go, kind of, but look at this amazing thing we did instead.
Yeah. And you can run multiple of these, which is super cool. It's not just limited to the one island. You can have multiple dynamic islands as they merge and sploosh into each other.
Dynamic archipelago, as you might call it.
Fernando looks like he has something to say, like he's skeptical or something.
I mean, it's very hard to say this because it's after the reveal, but it's obvious, right?
Sure.
I don't get why people are so excited about this new UI. It's the cleverest UI in the universe. I'm like, if someone showed you the phone with the floating island, how are you gonna show notifications? You're not going to show them and then have the thing in the middle, or you're not going to go all the way down below and display the notification. It's obvious that it's going to be there, so you have to work around it.
That's true, but there are a whole bunch of Android phones that have hole punch cameras, and I don't know how their notification system works, but my guess is that
they don't works the same, Ben?
Maybe it does. Maybe
pile
Apple
more things
fully
into
stole
the status
this.
bar.
Right, but my guess is that it probably doesn't work like that. I mean, again,
I agree. No, I agree.
Right, and then also they're all gonna steal this in a hot second. They're already Samsung and all the rest of them are already hell yes, and they're stealing it.
Samsung are gonna be that is the dumbest interface in the world. They're gonna make a couple commercials, then they're gonna slowly roll it out, and then they're gonna
next
say
year,
this is the best.
The Galaxy S23 is we just brought out the dynamic continent. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's half the screen.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think it's it's nice. I don't have anything against it. I just read a lot of tweets that were like, this is the best design that Apple has brought since like 2012. The iPhone. This is
I think
the
it's
next
clever.
I'm like, it's nice. I like it. It's clever.
I think honestly, people are just so like shell shocked over of all of the things that Alan Dye has brought interface wise to both the Mac and the iPhone that have been kind of stupid, and that he was the one that showed this off, and people were like, "Oh, he can actually make something good." Like, I think it's honestly mostly that. Like people were just like, "Oh wait, this is a thing that he made that's good." All right. I mean, obviously it wasn't just him; like it was the whole team. But you know,
Yeah,
can you imagine being this one person at Apple and so many people just like hate on you for work that you may or may not be doing because they just like
the touch bar. People hate it, like they hate it, and the touch bar wasn't even that bad.
No, I think like with improvements, it could have been great. Like it just never saw any improvements, and therefore it rotted.
I agree. I remember you being one of the very few people who were like net positive on the touch bar. Like you were like, this is like this has promise. It is cool, and they never took it anywhere though.
Anyways, you can sear your eyeballs with the remaining pixels that are not part of the dynamic island. But you can only do this for 5 seconds, and then your phone will thermally throttle to nothing.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I don't know. Like
that's a lot.
Like rather than 2,000 nits, rather than 1,600 nits, I just want like 500 nits. But don't turn that off. Just keep it at 500 nits. No, because I'm serious. Anytime you go outside with your phone, it like warms up immediately. And then you can't see anything on the screen, especially if you're like trying to take pictures or do anything with your device. It just turns into this washed out mess because it's like thermally throttling or whatnot. And I didn't need the brightest like possibility from the very beginning. So if it got really hot because it was really bright, and then therefore it can't sustain any amount of brightness as a result of that, like that is the piece that I think I would want to see fixed more than anything.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it will dim down to the point that it is always on.
Yep.
Right? So there is that, which is cool.
Yep. And a really cool thing about that is it will turn off if the phone is upside down or if it's in your pocket.
Right.
So it's not always on.
Because what I was worried about is the always on thing being like, okay, that's cool, but then I put it in my pocket and then some weird thing happens with like my pant leg and whatever, and it like touches the screen in a way that it.
I mean, that already happens.
But I was worried that with the screen being on all the time that it would be worse, but it's cool to hear that they're going to at least turn the screen off when you put it in your pocket.
Or just use more battery in your pocket when it's
right.
You're not getting any benefit.
Right.
But your light carriers really need to check on your notifications, Spencer.
It's an
important function of life.
Is this the first phone that has an always on display? Like the first iPhone? I mean.
The first iPhone.
First iPhone, yes.
First iPhone.
Interesting.
And
I
think we were all assuming that it was just going to be like a few pieces of the display that would just be always on, not the entire
but it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
And they did something where, like, if you have a photo set as your lock screen image, that when they dim the screen, they retain like the skin tones so that it doesn't
really
look weird.
Cool.
Like, kind of crazy, but cool.
Yeah,
and you can turn it off if you.
The thing.
Yeah, if you don't like it, you can turn the feature off entirely and not use it.
What I don't like about the always on screen is like, are you guys not ashamed of the amount of time that you spend on your phones?
No.
I am. Like the weekly thing is like, oh, you did great. You reduced 5%. You're now at like 8 hours a day, and I'm like.
Okay, I'm checking right now what my screen time is.
You see how you fix that problem, Fernando? Is you just turn that report off so it doesn't send it to you anymore.
Hey.
I'm checking too. Like
I think I'm at 4.
I'm down 30% from last week because I consciously made the decision, and I'm at 5 hours.
My daily average is 3 hours.
3?
That's pretty good. I wish it were 3.
Which is actually quite surprising. I'm surprised.
All right, Dimitri, what do you got?
How do you get it for only one device? Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's true.
I'm just on my computer a lot, so like my computer screen time would be bonkers.
I would just like to say I have 2 of my iPhones in this list, and that is just a thing. So
okay,
calling
so
that
this
out.
is much this is much better because it was 8 hours, and I was like, "Holy crap, that's insane!" But it's counting both my iPhone and my computer, which I use for work every day.
Yeah. 9
So
to 5.
if I turn off if I just go iPhone, it's 4 hours and 46 minutes, which is still probably too much, but that is much better. Like I'm not nearly as concerned about that.
I'm at 2 hours and 30 minutes. Actually surprised by that.
2 weeks ago, I was at 7 hours and 23 minutes. I was like,
Dang.
what am I doing with my life? Yeah, so I'm now at 450. I'm detoxing.
I spent
Hopefully I can
3
get down to,
hours
like,
and 6 minutes on GitHub. Yes.
Does anyone want to share their most used their most used app in there?
Oh, mine's
Apollo.
going to be YouTube for sure.
Across all devices?
Just on your phone.
Okay.
So you said YouTube, Spencer?
Oh yeah, 100. Yeah, one day it was an hour and 46 minutes of my 3 hours. I watch a lot of YouTube.
Mine is similar. Mine's TikTok, which is kind of
Okay.
like
I
the
had to
same thing.
uninstall TikTok. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
when I had TikTok on, I was at like 12 hours a day.
Oh jeez, dude.
No, I think I'm joking. I think I'm joking. You have no proof.
You think you have no proof, dude?
I think I'm not worried because I just don't use my phone all that much comparatively.
Well, all right.
Like my most used app is Maps from driving.
What?
Like it's just
Okay.
Maps is
All
on. The next used one is Zoom from like anytime I have to call in, I have my like phone as my camera. And then after that is just Safari and Slack. Like I really don't haven't
boring.
been using my phone. I know, right?
You are
It's like
boring.
no enjoy.
If
I guess my
anything,
iPad would
Fernando-
be worse. Let's check the iPad.
There you go.
If anything, Fernando, you've set us all at ease when we have now made you feel worse.
You know what, guys? I
Perhaps.
gotta go.
Ah,
I do feel ashamed. That's why I'm sort of detoxing, because it's like 7 hours. I don't need my phone for 7 hours.
if I'm being honest though, when I'm not working, I'm almost always at my computer. So like my computer usage is probably legitimately 16 hours. a
I
day.
think what I dislike about the iPhone's usage that I don't think about when I'm on the computer is that the iPhone I can use anywhere. And I've noticed, like, since I've started detoxing, I've noticed that I can't really spend 3 minutes without my iPhone. Like, am I going to take a shower? Okay, let's put on a YouTube video. I'm gonna go somewhere. Let's put on some music. And I'm like, holy shit, I need to get this under control. Yeah.
I found the missing variable. It was all on my iPad. There's like 7 hours of daily use. 6 hours of that being YouTube, which I can confirm to Spencer is ZFG randomizers every night. that I
Nice,
just, like,
dude.
leave on.
I love it.
It's the 5 hour speed run that is just on until I fall asleep.
Nice.
Yep, that makes sense.
Okay. Back to our regular programming.
Anyway.
We have an actual A16 Bionic, which is a new chip on 4 nanometers. They took all 4 of those nanometers to do things. And it is faster than the A13 Bionic. And that's like the only thing we know about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has the same, I think, essentially the same, more or less, SoC setup. Like it's 6 cores of CPU, 5 cores of GPU, a 16-core neural engine. Like the basic config, I think, is pretty much the same. I'm sure that the stuff's all improved in how it works, but it's not, they didn't like add any more cores or anything. It's not like they did that to make a major change.
Yeah, lower it's 1 less nanometer, which means faster and more
Right,
efficient.
smaller process, more efficient. Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And anything else on the A16 that people are excited about? I guess the M2 is based on the same chip, right? Except the M2 stole the thunder and came out earlier.
Right.
Or is the M2 based on the A15? Which one is it?
I don't
No,
know.
I think it was 4 nanometer. Yep, it's 4 nanometer.
Okay, so I guess the M2 on the MacBook Air stole the thunder, and like was the fancier chip this year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so according to Wikipedia, it's saying that it's did you say it was a 4 nanometer process, Spencer?
Yeah, but I was looking at like news reports.
So Wikipedia is saying it's an enhanced 5 nanometer technology.
Ah, okay.
So they're calling it N5P.
You shave one nanometer off, right? So it's enhanced.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's like 20%.
So it's 20 billion transistors, which is a 25% increase over the M1, the M2 compared to the M1. So.
Yeah, this has I think almost 16 billion, 17. No, yeah, I think they said almost 16 billion.
Okay. Yeah, and I think most of it is
impressive for that being in a phone.
Right.
Yeah, and most of it comes down to battery efficiency because, as we'll get to later, for once the iPhone seems to get even better battery than it usually has had. And that's probably all due to the chip, despite the screen being on constantly. It's able to pull that off. But the part that I'm super, super excited about is the Pro camera. Yes. And that's because finally we are getting a bump in pixel density. And that means that we can finally take pictures that we can maybe one day print. Because I don't know if anyone has ever attempted to print an iPhone picture. It looks great on a phone, but it looks less great on an iPad and even less great on a large screen. And it's just horrible in printed form because there's pixels everywhere. It's not nearly as dense enough. So now if you choose to shoot in Pro RAW 48 megapixels, then you can get 48 megapixel images, which is a really, really neat improvement.
Yep, stoked about that. They've done some cool stuff with like, I can't remember what they called their image processing pipeline, but it also exists for the iPhone 14 non-Pro, but they're calling it the photonic engine. So better like low light capabilities and stuff. But interesting what they're doing with it's like 4 12 megapixel sensors right next to each other. So you have the option to shoot basically like integer scaled images between the 4 sensors, and it basically puts it down to 12 megapixels, although in theory better quality, more light can be captured, or like Dimitri said, you can do the Pro RAW. So that's cool. They're doing some super cool stuff with like giving you back 2x zoom, and I'd assume that it just uses like 1/4 of each sensor to crop in digitally, but not digitally.
I watched
Spencer,
pretty cool.
I watched an MKBHD video about it, and he said that basically they're taking the center 12 megapixels of the 48 megapixel sensor to create what looks like an optical zoom, but is in fact just a nice crop.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
And to clarify what you said, it's not that there are 4 12 megapixel sensors next to each other. It's that every pixel has been subdivided by 4. So instead of one green pixel, one red pixel, one green pixel, one blue pixel, you have 4 green pixels, 4 red pixels, 4 green pixels, 4 blue pixels. And most of the time they get binned, but it reserves the ability to extract sharpness information from these individual pixels. And then it can use that to better computationally enhance the photo. Or it can zoom in, as we see with the 2x, or you can get all the raw pixels, but it's not as great as like a raw Bayer pattern that's at 48 megapixels, because instead of red, green, red, blue, you have red, green, red, blue, and they're like not really separated very well. So when you convert that to RGB, you're going to have some loss if you want to maintain that resolution. So you're likely going to get a resolution in between that's going to be the optimal size for that.
Gotcha. Still, 48 megapixels, I mean, even if it was 24, 30 megapixels, that's quite large. So even if that's what it ended up being sort of usable, that's pretty dang good.
Yeah. And they showed some neat demos of like just zooming in of like various shots that they did, and it's much improved. So very welcome 14 years later. Or when did the 12 megapixel like we got 12 megapixels very soon, like after
the iPhone 4 6s or something.
Yeah, something like that. it's been
Maybe
many generations of phone that has had the 12
Mm-hmm.
megapixel sensor.
Like more iPhones than haven't.
The pixels have gotten bigger, and they've improved the sensor and made it better, but they haven't fundamentally changed the megapixel sort of resolution size itself.
Mm-hmm. And it's only the main camera that gets the 48 megapixels. The other cameras, which now we can memorize this bottom one being the main camera. The other cameras still retain the 12 megapixel cameras, but they do some fancy ISO thing that I didn't really understand that gets like better low light performance, so they're faster in like dark mode and stuff like that. Fernando can blind us more with brighter flash.
I tried.
Yep.
It didn't work. I should have used the screen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cinematic mode is in 4K now. I think it was 1080 before. So that's an improvement.
Do any of you actually like cinematic mode?
I've never used it.
Cinematic mode is the thing where it follows you, right?
It'll,
like the focus.
Change focus automatically.
Oh no! I'm thinking
that
about
action mode.
You're thinking of the thing on the webcam that will keep you in the frame. Yeah,
center stage
is a different thing. Center stage.
Center stage. Yeah. It feels very weird. I don't like it.
I like it.
Yeah. I've never used it.
I don't know.
So. You're wrong, Spencer. No, I'm kidding.
Okay. I'm fine with being wrong on that one.
So yeah, that's the iPhone 14 Pro.
Yeah.
So what is everybody doing? Which are you guys getting a new iPhone? And if so, which one?
Yes.
All of them? You're gonna get all of them, Dimitri? One of each.
I was loosely tempted before I talked myself out of it of getting the gold one because it's like the closest thing to orange, but it's not orange, it's gold. So I'll probably go with like the white or silver, starlight, whatever they're calling it.
Sure.
I always feel like I'm at a Starbucks whenever I go to the Apple store just lately, and I'm like trying to order a phone because you like say the wrong qualifier.
6 qualifiers to get your phone.
Yeah. Like I use white, silver. It's like, no, it's starlight now. It's like, oh, is it a venti, a largie, or tallie? I don't really understand these terminologies. I've been stuck at home for too long. Cold Stone is the same with their love it, like it, extreme it. I'm not too sure. I go for the child size. You can ask for a child size, by the way. It's a very small ice cream, reasonably sized that you don't feel like you're gonna die of diabetes after eating it. So highly recommend that if you end up going to Cold Stone. Anyways, nice. Spencer, what phone are you getting?
Yeah, the purple looks really nice, but blue is my favorite color, and I've been stoked the last couple of years to get a blue iPhone. I don't feel like rocking the purple, not my color, so I'm going back to the silver or whatever it's called, the white silver. So a little bummed about that, but that's okay.
And no one's tempted to get the non-pro, like to get different colors, whatever. You
gross.
No, I need the cameras.
Yeah.
Do you?
All right, fair.
If I need.
Yeah, right.
I know. I go out so much that I absolutely need to take all of these photos. I don't know.
Taking photos of your watch just like on its stand.
As a person with cats, I need the best camera possible, so that way I can continuously have the best pictures of my cats possible. Otherwise, I'm gonna be like forever with the bad images, right? And like my photo library goes way back, and there are some very bad like first generation digital camera images where you have to plug in the camera before the battery runs out, otherwise you lose the images. And there were like 5, like very very top of the line
stored
stuff
on a floppy disk. Yeah.
I don't know. I have a 12 mini.
Yeah.
It's not showing its age. I mean, the
you
battery.
You could upgrade to the 13 mini. They still sell the 13 mini, so you could just upgrade to that.
I don't know. No, I think I'm just gonna wait this one out.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I don't have cats.
You have children. The next best thing.
Yeah.
Oh, the next
best thing.
I guess.
I got myself
better
that
pictures
later.
of my daughter. Yeah.
See, I had the 12, and then I was like, oh, I really missed having the telephoto lens, like the zoom lens. So I was like, I got to get a Pro for the 13. So I got a 13 Pro. I like don't ever take any picture. Like I don't actually even use it. So really, I could just go with like the regular 14. But it's
got to
just,
get yourself cats. You got to zoom in
at that
because
point,
you can't approach them. If you approach them, then they're gonna stop being upside down, all cute. So you need to go from stealth mode and then like zoom in and get your picture while you can.
And if I go 14, I might as well just keep what I have because that's the same phone effectively, right? So I think it's gonna be the Pro. I'm actually thinking about going to the Max again.
Oh,
I've had
me
two
too.
big. I've had two of the big.
There's
size
not
phones,
even a benefit to it. It's just big.
and I didn't really like them, but now I have. The MagSafe pop socket on my phone, so I feel like that kind of redeems my ability to hold the big phone. Ooh, I don't know. So it's going to be the regular or the large Pro. Also, I really want the. It's dumb, but I really want the dynamic island. Like I think it's really cool.
Oh yeah.
And I think I might get purple because I have the blue, whatever this blue color is called for the 13. I don't like the silver. I don't like the gold. I may be a little tempted by the space black because they brought space black back again, like from several versions ago. But I don't know. I kind of like having a phone that actually has a color, so I might go purple.
Black and orange might not be that bad. I mean, it's already the front of my screen.
Yeah,
so.
you could do that.
Yeah.
I might actually
permanently
do the
Halloween.
gold. We'll see if I change my mind in 12 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't have that much time, dude.
Yeah. 8 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Pacific is when they go on, and I'm guessing within 10 minutes the availability is going to get pushed back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I heard that depending on which watch band you wanted for the Ultra, that even that was getting delayed by up to 7 weeks depending on which watch band you picked. Fortunately, they went on sale yesterday. I didn't actually do anything about it till this morning, and I was like, oh, I saw that headline. I was like, oh, great, I don't have to wait. But it turns out that maybe the yellow band isn't that popular because I'm still going to get mine on the launch day.
Nice.
So another reason to go super loud with your watch band is that nobody else wants it, so you can get it as soon as you want.
Yep.
This lineup's pretty crazy. SE 12, 13, 14, 14 Pro. That's a lot of phones for sale all at once.
I mean, they've been doing that for quite a while at this point.
It's true. I'm
I guess
surprised
they're
the 12 is still there, though.
They're keeping
honestly.
the Mini for the 13, so they're not discontinuing it flat out.
Right.
But yeah, I don't see how Apple is collecting meaningful data about people wanting the Mini if the Mini is never the top of the line phone that people actually want.
Right.
So that's the disappointing part.
Yeah.
Because I would pay this amount for a Mini that has this camera. I don't care if the whole top of the phone is camera or if it's thicker or whatnot. I just want a smaller device, not in thickness, but in diagonal. Anyways.
Yeah.
I guess the good news is if you are in the market for a Mini, you could order today, right? You could order a 13 Mini without too much guilt or FOMO because the 13 and the 14 are effectively the same phone.
Yeah.
From a guts perspective.
Well,
So definitely not ordering
actually,
an iPhone 14.
Yeah.
that one feels like the ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do want the mini size, you really could get it without much FOMO because it is basically an iPhone 14.
Yep.
Fair. And that leads us to the end of the presentation, which we got a nice little spoiler sneak preview for Severance. And apparently there was a few cameos along the way. This train is on the Infinite Loop line. That was something that showed up. And then as the presenter was walking out of these doors, one of the main characters for Severance was just waiting to get on the train. So that was a neat little cameo, which I think Apple has been doing a lot lately. Every Apple event, they try to do one cameo for one show that's in progress. So yeah, I don't know what else to say about that.
Still haven't watched Severance, so the reference was lost on me.
Same.
You got to do it. It's really good.
I know.
This week's episode of Code Completion is brought to you by Not Pho. Tired of eating the same old meals time and time again? Consider Vietnamese food. You might already know of pho, but but there are a ton of other flavors specific to Vietnamese cuisine that are sadly not well known around the world. This includes everything from sandwiches like banh mi, rice plates like com tam, and even the deliciously savory crepes known as banh xeo. That's where the app Not Pho comes in. It's a free-to-try app dedicated to teaching you more about the wonders behind Vietnamese cuisine, brought to life with colorful and interactive illustrations and animations. Learn about how to make many classic Vietnamese flavors at home, but even if you don't cook, you'll know how to order like a pro the next time you visit your local Vietnamese restaurant. Recently new is version 1.2, which brought a brand new home screen to the app featuring a recipe of the week and a map of Vietnam, allowing you to start exploring recipes by region as well. Thanks again to Not Pho for sponsoring our show. Search for Not Pho, that's N-O-T space P-H-O, on the App Store today to give it a try completely for free. As always, I want to personally thank everyone for listening in this week. Please be sure to follow us on Twitter at Code Completion to know when new episodes get released, and feel free to tweet at us if there's ever a topic you'd like for us to dig into. Most importantly, it's a small podcast. Please be sure to share this with your friends and family who are also interested in any part of the process of app development. It's your support that enables us to continue doing this, and we hope to grow a healthy community around everything we discuss. Once again, I want to give my thanks to Spencer, who is at Spencer C. Curtis. That's SpencerCurtis on Twitter. Fernando, who is at From Junior to Senior. That's FROMJRTOSR on Twitter. And Ben, who is at Ferris Guy. That's FERROUSGUY on Twitter, for joining me this week. My name, once again, is Dimitri. You can find me at Dimitri Buniol. That's DIMITRIBOUNIOL. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
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 Okay, so I have a surprise, whatchamacallit, a surprise commented out, but you have to give me a moment to get the notes in order. Sorry, hold please.
I just saw on Twitter there's a guy who used to work at Apple that has heard a rumor that all of the teams that were adjacent to the team that he works on are all using Viper.
I saw the tweet too.
Build their apps. That was like terrifying.
Blark.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you also see that Steve Jobs' daughter posted that meme and then instantly got reprimanded for it in some way and took it down, where someone was like holding up a purple shirt of the purple shirt they were wearing, and it's like me buying an iPhone 14 after owning an iPhone 13 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's that old
Steve
guy
Jobs'
who's wearing
daughter
he's wearing like a flannel shirt, and the shirt in the gift box is exactly the same shirt.
Yes, and he was stoked.
Yeah,
I mean, that's us, right? In a nutshell.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Listen, I need it for my job. That's how I'm justifying.
Yeah, that's my justification.
I just want it. I've given up on trying to motivate this in other ways. It just never works out for me.
All right.
Okay, so we started the show roughly 2 years ago, almost to the month, in August of 2020. And at that time, I did a very embarrassing but also very funny thing that I explored potentially having a theme song for our show. And I quickly buried this and never wanted to hear it ever again. However, I did dig it up on this special 100 episode occasion.
Nice.
So I'm going to play it for you now. Enjoy. Code completion, completing your code. Code completion, expanding what you know. Code completion is here to assist. Code completion, assuming you don't resist. We have Fernando, Ben, and Dimitri who've been doing this for quite a while. Joined by Spencer and Johnny, who are much more new at this, making our experience quite versatile. Together we complete each other's knowledge and projects in a way we can share directly with you. From topic to topic, both fun and complex, you can come join us live on Fridays too. Code completion, completing your code. Code completion, expanding what you know. Code completion is here to assist. Code completion with topical information and quizzes to untwist. To complete your experience, you can check out our site over at codecompletion.io. We have a monthly newsletter. Be sure to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter to stay in the know. Code completion, completing your code. Code completion, sharing what we know. Code completion, expanding what you seek. Code completion, see you all next week.
I love it.
So that was dated to August 8th.
Quite a lyricist you are.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're never using that as our theme song, but but for the 100th episode, definitely.
That is
Don't
great.
worry. I'll just put it at the start of every episode from now on.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to.
Our viewership drops.
Watch it just plummets. Yeah.
No, watch it explode. Like, they can't get it out of their heads. Code completion.
It's like the Baby Shark song. It just gets stuck.
Yeah.
Except this is a tech podcast.
Yeah.
Not exactly the same.
Wow, that was amazing.
That was awesome.
Very glad to have witnessed it.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't think we really followed up on doing the newsletter properly or like streaming regularly on certain days of the week.
Right.
But yeah, we're still around, and I think we're having a lot of fun, and that's the important part. So here's to another 100 years of being stuck in this computer body, enjoying virtual sushi. Yep.